Welcome to the Commercial Gas Engineer channel. Hope you're well. This is a day in the life of a commercial gas engineer. On this site, I had a issue. Have you ever fixed something and it causes a problem? Well, on this site, I fixed a gas-fired water heater and then I had a leak afterwards. Reason why? It was connected to a towel rail. It's the first time I've seen a hot water circuit connected to a towel rail, but I've heard it happens. It was a drying room and the radiator popped. I isolated it and also complained about possibilities of Legionella if the radiator is isolated, and also I spoke about backflow contamination. Let me know if that's happened to you before. In this scenario here, I was working on a Worcester and had to find the service button. I haven't worked on this tiny boiler in a long time. It may be a newer version. It's a compact unit. Up there you can check the pressure on the fan. This one was an awkward one because I was working off a ladder on this, and as you know, you should only be on ladders for about 30 minutes. I didn't have a hop up available, so I was limiting my time on it. It's also awkward working on something like this. You can see the condensate trap needs cleaning out. Have two units side by side. So here I am on this ladder in this tight space. Try to make yourself comfortable. Checking the negative pressure on the fans to see if they were due for a clean. So one of the boilers was due for a clean based upon the readings, and the other boiler on the left was not due for a clean. So here's the boiler in service mode. And you know you turn it down or up if you want it in high or low. And here's the reading in this was a 30 RI, and you can see the minus 3.8, which indicates whether it needs cleaning or not. I was doing some capping of a meter. I don't know if anyone's ever seen any large caps for large meters. I've never seen any, but I had some plugs, 2-inch plugs for this unit, and I went back to the meter because it was easier to isolate here. And you can see I had a plug on this side. This was on the outlet to the appliances, and then this is by the meter side. So sometimes you may ask, why is the person capping both sides? Well, I have been taught that that is what you should aim to do. So you can see on this side I have an isolation. On this side there's an isolation valve further up, but you see it stops me from having to fully purge the whole system. Otherwise, if I let all the gas out the system, I have to purge from air to gas again. So I say, and also it stops the pipework from getting any rodents in there, any insects and dirt in there, and so on, and dust. So cap both ends when you can. It is good practice to do so. Okay, on one Sunday morning, I found myself at Vauxhall Market. Have you been here before? I tried to get here at 8 a.m. on the dot, even though my friend said to me that it was a bit early. It was quite interesting. I couldn't believe how much action there was at the market, and it was crazy. Everybody was selling. There's a lot of tools here. I presume some are stolen. I don't know where they're from. I can only presume that they are. But there was a lot of tools there. Many people had the same type of tools as well, and there were different types of drills and so on. So you could get the same multimeter and so on from different people. It decides prices. Some of the prices were inflated beyond belief. There was a label printer someone was trying to sell my friend for £100, even though the label printer was £30. So do your research if you do go to these markets. Take a picture of them and use your either eBay or your Google search on an item, and it will search it quickly. So this, for instance, is a manometer that we got away with for pretty cheap. I think probably £20 we paid for it, but online it does cost more. The person selling it was stating that it's a tester, but nonetheless, anyway, we convinced him otherwise and got it for about £20. But looking online, I saw that they sell for more. Okay, back to working. So here was a gate valve in a place that I wanted to isolate. I was wondering, what do you think about this lagging here on this side? Does it look like asbestos? It's quite old. I think it's over 20 years old. I'm slightly concerned it was asbestos because I saw some signs of asbestos, some asbestos signs on different parts, but not on this particular part, but it was the same type of lagging. So I did have to cut back some of it at one point, but I should have done more homework to find out if it was asbestos because I had to disturb it. So do your homework, guys. Check the asbestos register and double check. And sometimes if you're in a plant room and there is asbestos, just put a mask on anyway if you're in doubt. So here it is. This possibly could be asbestos. So this valve here looked like it had been snapped off. So I kind of gave up easily, but thankfully one of my colleagues said to me, why don't you take off the sort of back nut and try to tighten it up with some grips? I thought it was a lost cause, but lo and behold, it did isolate the water. And then my colleague came up with another good idea. He was on a roll on this particular day. And he said, instead of, because I couldn't shut off the water in the street in this particular building, it wasn't allowed for me to shut off the cold mains coming into the building. So I wasn't sure whether this was a cold feed going to the hot water cylinder or whether it was tank fed, because the tank was so high up in the building and wasn't actually allowed access to this particular tank. So the mains I couldn't shut off, and then the tank I couldn't. And then this was the only isolation valve. I tried to shut off other isolation valves further back down the line, but it seems as though they weren't doing anything. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was. Maybe I should have given it more time. Nonetheless, this colleague of mine told me instead of freezing it, still got a freeze kit anyway, because the cost of hiring these freeze kits was just £70 for a week. Sorry, £60 for a week, and then £10 for the transformer. So £70 is chump change. So that was for the week. Got the freeze kit over, and I was also given a tip about putting water and a tissue on the freeze on the clamps. I never knew about that. Maybe I should have known. I've done freezing before, but I could never remember actually using tissue, wet tissue, sort of like napkin type of tissue, and using it on the it assists it. I didn't realize that. And even though, and also a gel. I can't recall using a gel. I've done freezing before, but maybe some of these things are evading me and I'm forgetting. You know, if you don't do something for a couple of years, it can be forgotten. So anyways, my colleague told me, instead of freezing it and so on, now that you've isolated it, why don't you cut in? Instead of, I was going to replace this valve, this 28mm gate valve. He said, leave that in situ and just further down the line, install your new valve, your new gate valve. So that's what I did. I'll come back to that job in a moment, but on to another one. I was helping this particular mate out that gave me some advice on something that he was having trouble with. So this one, fortunately, was an easy fix. It was just that the tap had a problem and my colleague didn't know. So it was that I believe it's called the aerator, was blocked with sort of grit and so on. So I cleaned that out, and then water started to come out of the tap. Nice, easy fix. So when I'd removed the aerator, water was coming out, so I could tell that that's what the problem was. Lo and behold, there's water. Have a picture there of taking it apart. Nice and clean. Okay, here I am being a banksman. I was here with an electrician and we were changing lights. I haven't had much experience changing lights before, nor using a cherry picker, but this was a good experience for me, driving one and changing lights, several lights. So here are the lights. You can see them as their connections here, and more connections that you have to plug in. And this is the light, you can see. Okay, and here is a leak. So when I went to rewinding back to when I was working on that gate valve, that 28mm gate valve, I was trying to isolate from here. But then when I went to it, sometimes you go to a job and when you go to it, you end up finding more and more problems. So as I went now, I saw that this stopcock was leaking. and like someone had tried patching up in the past. I was going to repack it, but instead of repacking it, I decided to just nip it up, and it stopped leaking. So here was all saturated. So you go from one problem and then another one, and you open up a can of worms and there's more problems. So this was in one of the access points outside to get the water off. I don't know what I was looking at in here. Do you recognize that? Mains water board, I presume the MWB stands for. And then here is one of the isolations, but I was told not to touch this. So here's the leak before I repaired it. Just dripping away in the cupboard. Nobody too bothered about it. But now nice and sorted after nipping that up. It's funny enough, I straight away thought about just repacking it rather than nipping it up, but someone said, why don't you just nip it up first and see if that works? Sometimes it's good to listen to advice rather than rushing in. Sometimes we can believe that we know everything, but we don't. So I love this key of mine. A few times I left it in the van. It was annoying because I had to use a spanner. But the good thing about this key is that once you get the right size, it's just quite quick to open or turn. So here's a submergible pump. And then this is rewinding back to that job I was telling you about. This submergible pump started to not pump away. The float was a bit dodgy, and you had to keep encouraging it every now and then to kick in. So I have to just keep roughing it up, and then it started to take the water away eventually. I need to report this, get it sorted out, get a job raised for this. Because when you're trying to drain down a cylinder or do any work, or if there's a flood, you have a submergible pump, but it's really of no use because you have to force it. I mean, it is of use, but it's not the way it should be. On to another job, 4.1 microfarads. That is for this particular capacitor. I don't know if you remember me speaking in a previous video about a fan that I had kicking in, kicking out from 50 to 120 pascals. So it was this particular unit, this gas-fired water heater. So here we have it, 4.1 microfarads. It's meant to be within 5% of 6 microfarads. So I believe that this could be the culprit for the fan pulsating more than it should be. There we go. 6. I've heard that you can use higher rated units, and you have to just make sure the voltage it's suitable for the voltage that it is working with. So you could use one that's 10 microfarads, but so long as it's capable of working at the voltage required. But no, I just aimed to get the right one. But if you were in trouble, look into going about doing it that way and seek advice. Okay, back to freezing kits. So what I didn't realize, it was funny, I was given advice on this one, and I was told when you are freezing the pipework, instead of doing it for 10 to 20 minutes like here, for instance, based upon the size of the pipe, I was doing 28mm, it says that you should leave the freeze kit on for like 20 minutes. But a colleague of mine said, why don't you go as far as leaving it on for a full hour? I would have never thought of leaving a freeze kit on for an hour. But lo and behold, I looked at the manufacturer's instructions, and what does it say? It says, depending on what size the pipe is, that's how long you should leave the freeze kit on. I did not know that. Okay, there's probably some more tips on here that you can see, but how often do we read right through the instructions? I was also going to put my clip-on thermometers not too close to the pipework, but there or thereabouts from my analyzer to see what temperatures we had before cutting into the pipe. And also before doing that as well, I was going to crack open a valve slowly from the nut to see if the water was there and so on. But I didn't get around to freezing. Have a look at this. Does this look like it needs changing? Yep. Some water got into the unit and then this is what happened to the wires in the process. I believe that's what happened to the wires as well. You can see the corrosion here. I hear this hot water cylinder is over 20 years old. I mean, I haven't changed one of these in a while. Some years. I've changed gas-fired ones, but I haven't changed these indirect cylinders. So I was planning to change it. But first I wanted to change the heating element. It was giving me some trouble. I made a mistake on this one. I remember that the best way when breaking these at first is to crack it first, to open it, start opening it initially, just to get it started when there's still water left in the cylinder, because it's still being held down by the weight, rather than going for it when there's no water in, because then the cylinder I needed another person to come and just give it a bear hug for me, because the whole thing was moving when I was trying to get my Stiltsons on here. So I got the new one in eventually. But then what happened? It's funny, because when the water started to fill up in the cylinder, I saw this part of the cylinder just rise like a lot and expand, and I was a bit concerned. I don't know if it's because we opened up the cylinder a little bit too quick, allowing the water in, or if that's just the way it goes. But I was surprised at how much this rose. I thought it was going to give way, or I don't know if it's because I was putting such an impression on it in trying to open it, because I was giving it some knocks beforehand. Before changing it, I was giving it a good clout and so on to try and free it up, because it wasn't budging. So maybe that's what caused the problem. But then I got a pinhole leak and I tried to repair it. But what my mistake was is I tried getting the epoxy resin on here. Some people sometimes use solder to repair these and patch them up. Then another hole appears and another one. But sometimes that does work. Well, once you get water out of it, you can use some epoxy or something of that nature to repair it. It didn't work for me on that first occasion. I was still getting a weep, and then water was filling up here and it was just too much water. And then this is the scale from the existing one. So there's a lot of scale in the system. I'll come back to that one in a moment. These are some time clocks on some fans, some extract fans or supply fans in a building, I recall. I had to check. And then this is a timer. Have you ever worked on these timers before? So the problem with this particular timer is that the batteries needed changing, because the display was dim and the batteries needed changing on them, and then the display came up. Let me know if you've worked on those timers. So here's back to that cylinder. So I was looking to see what irons I needed for it to replace this particular cylinder. A lot of it was 28mm and some were 22mm connections as well. So as you can see, there's the water there sneaking out of my epoxy setup. I was here filing down and looking for the leak on the cylinder. So here I am with the epoxy on here in situ, my epoxy putty, waiting for it to go off. I must have left it about 20 minutes. And then when I saw the other bit of epoxy that I had left over, the surplus was very hard, I was starting to feel convinced that it was taking set. So here it is. In the end, I did get a few drips, but not too much. I had some from around here, but I shored it up with some LXX. And here's the new gate valve I put in. I also reduced the flow rate on the gate valve. Before, it was fully open and the water was flying out everywhere much more faster than it needed to. So I reduced on here, and that also reduced the impact on the leak, I believe. So this was the temporary fix on the unit, and then it stopped leaking because I had a pinhole leak, and then it was just filling it up here with water, as I was saying before. So wired up this particular unit, tested it, and then had it as a backup now for when the boilers are not working. This backup will kick in. The unit was watertight, but this cylinder will have to be changed in future, but just not right away. Okay, thank you for joining me. Until next time, bye bye bye.